Hi everyone, it's Anthony Fantano here, the internet's greenest music nerd. Does this shirt make it really hard to green screen properly for this video? I don't care. If it's messing up a little bit, that's totally fine by me. This is sort of a weird one-off video where I'm listing off my picks for Record Store Day 2017. Yes, Record Store Day, the day when we are mercilessly price gouged for rare exclusive reissues and limited editions of records that us record collector types really want to get our hands on. God, I can't wait to see the flipper prices this year on eBay. Fuck you if you flip this shit. You're trash. There is a link to the Record Store Day website down there in the description box where you can find a list of participating stores. If you want to, sort of get up really early, wait in line just so you can get a copy of the new Corey Feldman 7-inch. Yes! I will most likely be participating. Something might come up, but if it doesn't, then I am going to be on the lookout for these things right here that I'm going to list in this video. Also, of course, there are many more releases than this one I'm talking about here on Record Store Day. Down there in the link below, you can find a full, complete list of everything that's going to be coming out, released, and featured in a lot of the participating stores this year. First, we have a cover of All Together Now by the Beatles, performed by Andre 3000, none other than Andre 3000, being released on a 7-inch. I believe he recorded this a long time ago for a commercial, so that will be pretty cool. Animal Collective's Meeting of the Waters EP, which is a sort of live recording that the band tracked in the fucking rainforest. That would be nice to get your hands on. There's also a self-titled reissue of Moondog's Moondog, Big L's Devil's Son EP. This is an EP centered around a track that's kind of a bit of a horrorcore precursor, a song that was deemed too controversial and edgy for his Lifestyles album that he released. So that will be pretty interesting. Big release for Big L fans. David Bowie, the Bo Promo little split record is getting released, something that was put out to kind of get David Bowie's music out there, a label mate as well. They are sort of doing a recreation, a repressing of this sort of white sleeve, white label record that is a piece of very early David Bowie history. Also, a David Bowie Cracked Actor live in Los Angeles in 1974 album is getting a release. The Cure Greatest Hits and Greatest Hits Acoustic are getting a release. That'll be pretty interesting. A Dillinger Escape Plan 7-inch that is an instrumental cut of the song Dissociation rather, from the band's last full-length LP. Check out that album if you haven't already. It's the band's final album. We are also getting a reissue of the Germs 7-inch single, a Lexicon Devil, excellent punk song if you have not heard it. Sharon Jones with the E.L. Fields Gospel Wonders Heaven-Bound single. Yes, they are dropping a 7-inch here. Rest in peace, Sharon Jones, releasing a bit of gospel music, which will be nice. Big release for the Daptones Records fans, Sharon Jones fans. A Motorhead live album, Clean Your Clock, is getting released. Mungo Jerry, a reissue of his legendary In the Summertime Where the Weather is Hot single is getting released. Mungo and a lot of the people from the UK who were cut from a similar artistic cloth I think are a bit of an underrepresented part of UK music history, because you used to have all of these skiffle bands, yes, look into skiffle music. Before the Beatles were playing rock music, they were playing some skiffle shit. And, it's kind of, I can't accurately describe the music myself. I'm not an expert in it, but I do know some of the groups, some of the artists that recorded in this style of music, and it's not very well talked about. When the British invasion happened with rock and roll from the UK, that was really kind of like the big selling point, and that was the UK's big contribution to music in that era. But prior to that, and around that same time too, there were a lot of these skiffle groups that don't get quite as much credit. I think. Stevie Nicks has a rarities collection coming out, also a reissue of Notorious B.I.G.'s 1999 posthumous release, Born Again, and Prince with Little Red Corvette in 1999. That's getting a single reissue, and there are actually an assload of Prince album reissues coming out this year. Sign of the Times, Purple Rain, all that stuff. A lot of his biggest releases from that era are getting a reissue. There's also a nice Ramones 76 to 79 singles box set that I'm kind of interested in. Slick Rick's The Great Adventures Of is getting a reissue as well. If you are a hip-hop completist, or if you have not heard this album ever and you consider yourself a hip-hop fan, please do yourself a goddamn favor and listen to that album. Patti Smith's 7-inch for the song Hey Joe is getting a reissue, which will be pretty nice. A Sun Ra Rarities compilation under the name Janice is coming out. I'll be on the lookout for that. Talking Heads is doing one of those 7-inches where you have a big hit from the band, and then on the B-side you have another group covering that song. In this case, it is the band Wilding, and the song that's getting covered here is This Must Be the Place. Toto has a single for the song Africa getting reissued. Love that song! And it's a reissue of the song's picture disc. So it's like the whole fucking continent of Africa like lodged right next to sort of the disc of the single, which is actually like really awesome and aesthetically pleasing. I would really love to get my hands on that. As I stated earlier, there is a 7-inch for the song Go For It featuring Snoop Dogg, Corey Feldman's big awesome hit from his latest album, Angelic to the Core. I will tear off heads to get a copy of this on Record Store Day. Don't get in my fucking way. Don't get in my way of that goddamn Corey Feldman single. That's all I'm saying. If I come away with anything this Record Store Day, it's going to be that Corey Feldman. Various artists. Space Jam, music from and inspired by the film I Believe I Can Fly, and all the other major hits you remember from that Space Jam soundtrack on vinyl. The Black Lips are coming out with a cassette box set of all of the albums they dropped on Vice Records. So the 4 Vice Records albums that they have released are coming out in a fun little box with all the cassettes in there. I already own all of them on CD and vinyl, so I don't know if I'm going to spring for the box set, but I guess it is an interesting thing to know exists. And, you know, there are a lot of cassette heads out there, and the Black Lips have, or just rather Black Lips, have come out with a lot of great records on Vice, so, you know, look out for that. Dark Throne has a picture disc coming out of their last album that just came out last year, Arctic Thunder. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, why I didn't end up covering that. I'm stupid. Klaus Dinger and Pre-Japandorf have a collaborative album that is previously unreleased stuff. Klaus, if you didn't know, is one of the masterminds behind Neu, one of the great German krautrock groups that should definitely be appreciated and checked out if you have not gotten to their stuff already. We have a group that I was unfamiliar with, but I'm going to try to get into, called Noise Addict. These guys are a bit of from what I read in the description over here, like a Australian punk history. They're a kids band. They're all young kids. But as I was listening to their stuff, they have all this like demo quality Daniel Johnston kind of stuff, and they have all these punk tunes and all these grungy tunes where it sounds like they were listening to a lot of Nirvana too. You know, every decade or so, there's at least a couple of these like, you know, bands where everybody in the group is like age 10 to 12 or something, and it's looked at as kind of a gimmick or a novelty. But these kids like had some serious like songs and collaborated and you know, worked with some notable artists in the punk scene and sort of you know, artists who were making some good stuff during the 90s. And I don't know, just over here in the US, we don't really hear of them. I'm talking about the band Noise Addict, and the release in question here is 10,000 Kids with Guitars. What I heard so far on it, again, sounded pretty good. Keep an eye out for this thing because, you know, it could be a bit of, you know, a gem. A bit of an undiscovered thing for a lot of people over here in the U.S. that are looking for, you know, a cool rock obscurity. The Flaming Lips, on board the internet, they have what is described to be here as a live-ish sort of project over here of tracks from their latest record being reimagined as a fictional, fantastical live Flaming Lips performance on the on the International Space Station, pressed on orange vinyl. Uh, don't know what that's going to entail. I didn't really care for their latest record, so what a live version of it as imagined on the International Space Station would be, I don't know, but I'm sure those hardcore Flaming Lips fans are going to find out. And finally, Frank Zappa is doing, or rather, the people who own the rights to his music are doing a 10-inch reissue for the song Rolo, and on the B-side there is the Portland Improvisation, as it is labeled on there. And those are basically all the releases I'm going to be looking out for. Again, there are many more Record Store Day releases to be had and mentioned, some of which were mildly appealing to me, but I couldn't just list out everything on this list. Also, shout out to Blowfly, one of the dirtiest rappers ever to exist in the history of music, has an etched LP coming out that, depending on how raunchy and disgusting it looks, I may or may not pick it up. And from what I see in the description here, it's also double grooved on the side that has the grooves on it, so the needle could land on one song on one groove, or it could land on another song on the groove that is etched into the record parallel to it. So you have two grooves running side by side throughout the whole side of the record. Not sure if you guys understand what I'm saying, but a lot of different artists have done this. A lot of groups have, sort of experimented with double grooves over the years. And you don't really... I think a lot of people don't fully understand it until they own one or see a record that does that and sort of, kind of see it in action. But if you do get an opportunity to get your hands on that and you don't know who Blowfly is, definitely look him up because he's a madman. That's everything I wanted to mention in this video. You guys are the best. I hope you have a good Record Store Day. I hope you guys get your hands on some of the stuff that you're looking out for, and save me a goddamn copy of that Corey Feldman. Save me a copy of that Corey Feldman, please. Please, for the love of God. That's it. Record Store Day. Transition. Let me know down in the comments what your Record Store Day list picks are looking like. What are you going to be looking out for this Record Store Day? And I will manage to put some related videos I think you should check out next to my head subscription official website too. And eat your fruits and veggies. On Record Store Day, stay hydrated so you don't get stuck in the line and then you get thirsty and then you got to leave the line to get a drink and then you lose your spot. Bring a bottle of water, make sure you stay warm and toasty and that, you're good. Take care of yourself, take care of each other. I love you forever.